All right, and we're live. Let's see if you guys can hear me. Leave a message. Let me know that you're watching. Let me know that it's visible. Let me know that you can hear me. Let me know if you can see my screen. Today we're gonna do a rendering. All right, and we're live. Let's see. Oh, I can hear myself. What's happening there? All right. So I guess you can hear me, guys, right? Let's give it another couple of seconds. I want to see your feedback. Let me know that you can hear me. Let me know that everything is fine. And then we'll get this going. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, bum, bum. Hi, Michael. Hi, Deki. How are you? I guess that you can hear me, right? Let me know, let me know. Oh, I'm not wearing my hat. Without the hat, I have no superpowers. Ugh. Hats on. J-Man! What's happening, dude? Good, okay. So let's get started with this exercise. Let me just show you what I'm doing, what it is the aim of this exercise. The aim of this exercise is to create with the mesh that Vamsi gave us for the rendering challenge, which I hope that you guys are doing also, to create this super abstract skull, sort of like cyberpunk, trashy, whatever artwork. I thought for this challenge I kind of want to do something that it's just aesthetically pleasing. I want to focus on learning the fields from Cinema 4D because, believe it or not, I still haven't got around learning how to use the fields. And also I want to experiment a little bit with very basic lighting techniques using Corona, which is at the moment my favorite render engine, simply because it's very fast and very efficient. And we're going to use a plugin which is called SurfaceSpread, which is sort of like a scatter, almost like the what is it called, the cloner from Cinema 4D. But this one works a lot better because it can handle a lot more geometry. And it's super simple to use. If you know how to use the cloner, you can quickly learn how to use SurfaceSpread. Big shout out to Team Dapper, the maker of this plugin, the guy and the team from Laubwerk for doing this, because it's a very powerful plugin. They're not paying me to saying these things. I've been using this plugin for many years now, and it's very powerful. It's very intuitive. And also, like, now that I started to experiment a little bit with the fields, it was very easy for me to start using the fields with this plugin. Anyway, enough of me saying blah blah blah. Let's just get to it, all right? I'm gonna start brand new with a new project so that you can see how I do this stuff from the very beginning. So first of all, I'm going to import or merge a skull, which I've downloaded from Turbosquid. It's very tiny. Let me see how big it is. It's only about 20 centimeters. It's actually not that bad, but I can make it a little bit bigger. You cannot see the... Oh, if you hear airplanes flying around, it's because today it's Independence Day in Israel, and they have these air shows. They're very loud. There are helicopters flying, airplanes shooting missiles. Israelis have a very weird way of celebrating Independence Day. But anyway, the one thing that it's missing on this skull, as you can see, is a phone tag. It's not like we're going to need it because I'm not going to render the skull. The skull, it's actually going to be just used as a mesh reference for the clone. But I'm still gonna do it because I don't like that I cannot see it. Where is it? It's in modeling tags, Fong. I'm gonna activate it and leave it to 40%. There you go. Then I'm going to find a proper angle for my camera. I think I'm going to have this image centered, dead center. So camera, I'm gonna null my center point. There you go. And I'm going to zoom back so that I'm straight dead in the middle. There we go. I'm going to change my output to be squared. I'm going to lock the ratio. Then I'm going to adjust my camera accordingly. Something like this. Now I'm gonna go and merge the mesh from Vamsi. Actually, I'm going to look for the lowest poly count mesh that is included in this package. In this case, it's the 20K mesh. Open. Okay. Let me right click and say rigging tags, protection tags, so that the camera is locked in position. Let me grab the mesh from Vamsi, T, to scale it up, because I don't know how big it is at the moment, but I don't see it showing up. Okay, this is very big. I'm going to need it to be a lot smaller, but it's okay. Let's leave it like this for now, and let's start playing with SurfaceSpread. I'm just gonna activate SurfaceSpread. Then I'm gonna say I want this mesh to be a child of SurfaceSpread, just like if I was working with a cloner. And I want, actually, this is wrong. It's because I selected it. Shouldn't be done. Okay, sorry, clear. And in the object, I'm going to use the skull as a sort of like distribution item, right? Now, in this case, all I want to do to have the elements vertical is to change the axis of the element. So L to turn the axis. And there you go. I'm gonna turn the axis. What is happening here? Hold on. Let me just deactivate this and see what it's happening here. 10. And let me change the way this is showing the geometry. Great. So now if I take the geometry, in theory I should be able to rotate the geometry 90 degrees. Perfect. As you can see, the geometry now, it's very big. So I need to scale it down. This might be still too big, but it's okay. We'll leave it for now like this. And I'm going to say to SurfaceSpread, change the display from full geometry, to merged boxes. And let's raise the amount of boxes, or the count. Let's try with 1,000. 1,000 is too little. Let's try with 10,000. This is looking good. And let's make sure that the skull, it's not going to get rendered. Let me go back to my camera. Let me right click on the camera and say Corona tags, Corona camera. And let me switch the renderer to Corona. And let me start playing a couple of lights. Let's do this from the top. Let's put a light looking in that direction, T to scale it up. I want actually these lights to be a little bit slimmer but taller. Sort of like this, yeah, exactly. And I'm gonna copy that light and put it on the other side. Now, when using this type of 2-point lighting, it's very important that one light needs to be less predominant than the other. So in this case, here I have an intensity of 50, that's way too much, probably 5 will suffice. and the other light will be, I don't know, maybe 15. Let's try. And I'm going to change the light to something. Let me see the image that I've done. Which color it had? Okay, so blue and some reddish. Let's do the same. I'm gonna use a bluish color here. And for the second light, I'm going to use a reddish color. Let's see. Let's just render and see what happens. Now, this is one of the things that I like really about the surface spread, is that it's really easy on the memory. It really doesn't eat so much memory as, for instance, the cloner does. Now, bear in mind that I'm also streaming this, so you know the render engine, it's a little bit slower. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Good, this is good enough. I think that the geometry is a little bit too big, so I'm gonna stop the render. And I'm gonna take the geometry, scale it down maybe to something like 50%. And I'm going to create a brand new material, and I'm gonna go old school with this material. I'm gonna use the classical grayscale gorilla Fresnel effect. I'm gonna, of course, invert the gradient. I'm gonna make this color a little bit more subtle. And I'm going to give it a reflection. Reflection with a glossiness value of 0.7. Let's render this and let's see what happens. Now let me see. Drogi says, yeah, this does not look like 3ds Max. It does not look like 3ds Max, but maybe it's better. Let's not fight about software, guys. Come on, all softwares are nice. All software are good. All software are, of course, Cinema 4D is better, but all software are good. Okay, let's just put it this way. So let me ask you guys from home, how are you thinking of like approaching this challenge for yourself? What are the things that you're currently looking at in terms of which topic you're going to focus on, or what are your strategies of going into this next challenge? And above all, do you like the challenge that I've given you, or were you disappointed? Were you happy with it? Share your thoughts with me. Come on, this is how we do it. Okay, I'm gonna stop this. I think it's good enough. The only thing that I'm going to do in this case, I want to make the geometry still a little bit small. Maybe 80%. And I want to raise the amount of clones. Maybe I'm gonna have, I don't know, 30,000. There we go. Now, that's the cool thing about surface spread. Look how light my viewport still is. I have 30,000 elements, and each single element has around 20k polygons. And so, you know, we have millions of polygons inside this viewport, but I can still navigate without any problem. It really makes my life easier when working with a lot of instances and clones. Okay, people say that they love the challenge. I will approach it in 3ds Max. Look, I cannot tell you what to do. It is your own choice. Go for it. Now, let's let me change a little bit. Materials, edit, delete unused materials. Let me just take this mesh that I've created. Actually, I did not apply the material that I've done before. Okay, Fabio, pay attention, Fabio. Let's call this base material. It's because I've been working with Blender lately, And so Blender has this system where you just create the material and the material is already applied if you have an object that is selected. But anyway, for now, let's do this again. Right click, invert gradients, make this a little bit lighter. Okay, and then I make the reflection a little bit more glossy. There we go, good enough. And I'm gonna replace all the materials. So now I should get a better effect. Now let's make that sort of like distraction, or like, what do you want to call it? Sort of Thanos effect. Let's go to SurfaceSpread, and in the effectors, I'm going to drop a MoGraph random effector. And so in this case, I need to drag and drop it. And then in the random effector, I can say in the fall off, use a field. In this case, I'm going to use a spherical field. And what the spherical field does, it basically affects the geometry only within the sphere of the field itself. So I'm just gonna move the field in position. I'm going to center it where I want it to be taking effect. And in the random, I'm going to change some of the parameters. First of all, the position, it's fine, you know, we can, let's zero all the positions so that we see what it is that this random effector is doing. I'm very interested in having the position of the of these random particles to be vertical, more vertical than, you know, horizontal and in that direction. So I need to go and check each single parameter. There we go, I got it. So this one is the parameter that I want to change, the Z parameter. I'm going to change also the X parameter a little bit, and I'm going to change also the scale. In this case, the scale I want it to be, I guess, only in the Z parameter. There we go. Great. And I'm going to take the spherical field, and I'm going to make a copy somewhere up here. Now, this is not affecting the randomizer because it's not listed inside the fall-offs. But if I just take the field that I just used, which is the field number 1, and put it inside this list, you can see that now it starts to affect my geometry. The only problem is that this overtakes this one because of the fact that it has a normal blending mode. So the only thing that I need to do in this case is change the blending mode to something that allows me to add the two. And add is the right word in this case. Let's try and hit render and let's see what happens. Give it a minute or 2 or 3. So let me read the messages. It's good that challenges are not all the same, just with different assets, because it has to be a challenge. Very good, Edmundas. It's that's the point. You guys want me to do a MS Paint sort of like challenge? Because we're gonna see a lot of people failing. I'll be the first one to fail. But anyway, this is basically how I did it. Now, all I have to do is go and change a little bit, you know, the way this geometry looks like. So I'll have to play a little bit with the random effector just to get the randomizer in the right way. Maybe one thing that I could do, let me stop this, is to, in the effector, in the parameters, is to maybe raise a little bit the randomizer in the X value, and maybe reduce the stretching in the Z direction. Maybe something like 3%, maybe even 2%. And maybe I can do it also a little bit more distant, so that, let me do 300, so that it looks a little bit more more dispersed. Now, the cool thing is that this is, of course, non-destructive, meaning I can go back to the skull. If I don't like the proportion, I can scale the skull a little bit in the X direction, or maybe I can squish it a little bit, say 95%. And let's see what happens if I render this. Just bear in mind that I have a very old computer. My computer only has like 32 gigabytes of RAM, and it has 16 processors. Of course, they're double thread, but it's an old computer in comparison to the ones of like my colleagues. And still, it handles all this geometry thanks to SurfaceSpread in a fantastic way. And that's why I love using SurfaceSpread. I use it also for like plants, trees, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, this is basically how I did the skull that you just saw. I just need to play a little bit with the geometry, tune it so that it looks correct. And that's it. Alright guys, I don't want to steal too much of your time. Thanks a lot for watching. If you're still hanging around, please hit the like button. It's always appreciated. If you know people that use Cinema 4D or that want to do the challenge, share this video because it might be inspirational for them. I don't know, maybe it's not inspirational. One thing that I want to do before saying goodbye is changing a little bit a couple of the settings here. Let me change the contrast a little bit so that we get these lights to pop up a little bit more. Maybe raise the filmic lights and the filmic shadows so that the image looks a little bit more punchy. Yeah, and I think that's it. Look, it only took us, how long did we do this for? Let me check. 22 minutes. Yeah, it's good enough. Alright guys, thanks a lot for watching. As I told you, share this video, like it if you liked it, if you find it useful, and I will see you guys in a couple of days with the winner announcement. Thanks a lot for watching. See you guys later.